Hello! Happy Sunday! Well, today is the 12th of July, which means we've got 1 week to go until the summer holidays, which is really exciting. I don't know what your plans are for the summer holidays, but maybe it's just going to feel like a bit of a rest from doing homeschool or going to real school. Just a little bit of a breather in this weird time. I hope so anyway. So, what are we doing this Sunday? Well, we're going to look at the next bit of the story of David and Saul. Now, do you remember last week? Last week we had David and Goliath. Very exciting. And you just need to do a little bit of a recap to work out the meaning behind today's story. So, let's do a super quick bit of the storytelling. Here we go. God's chosen people were living in the land that Moses had led to them when they came out of Egypt and stopped being slaves. They were supposed to be a blessing to the people around them and teach everyone about God, but they kept messing up. So they asked for a king to lead them, and they chose Saul. Saul started off okay, but then he stopped following God. So God said to Samuel to choose a new king. And God told Samuel to pick David, a very unlikely small shepherd boy. Because David was really good on the harp, he was invited into Saul's palace to play for him when he got cross. Then the Israelites started fighting a war against their neighbours the Philistines, and David became an unlikely hero by defeating the giant Goliath. It's exciting, isn't it? And also a bit messy, because what happens then is Saul makes David one of his generals, and he grows and climbs up to become more and more of an important person in the kingdom. But all the time, you've got David waiting for this promise that one day he's going to be king. And all the time, you've got Saul waiting for someone to come and stop him from being king. Maybe David come and kill him. And gradually over time, this eats away at Saul until one day he decides he's got to kill David. And that's where we find today's story, because David has escaped into the desert and Saul is chasing him and hunting him down. So, what does this story teach us? Well, it might say to you something about being patient and waiting for something good that's promised to you. Being patient and waiting for God to do something special in your life. Like David was being patient and waiting for God to make him into the king. And how do you behave when you're waiting for that? Do you trust and have faith? Or it might talk to you about how to behave when you're faced with temptation. Like David is faced with temptation in today's story to do the wrong thing. And people are telling him to do the wrong thing. So how do you act when you know your friends are telling you to do something wrong and you know that God's way is different? Or it might talk to you about how do you behave when you're so cross and angry about something like Saul was. What do you do? Do you keep going down that angry path, or do you ask God for help and for forgiveness? Well, watch the story, have a little think, answer the questions, and see what God talks to you about today. I hope you have a lovely Sunday. God bless.